Okay, we're going to officially start now. Jose, thank you for joining us today to
Thank you
discuss
for
your
having me.
candidacy in this mayoral election for Sacramento. So my name is Angelica Campos, Outreach Specialist with the Ring of Democracy.
Mhm.
And I'm Stacy Volsi, Project Director with Ring of Democracy. And we're here today inviting electoral candidates because we want to give our community members the opportunity to get to know you better and further democratize the electoral process that way.
Love it.
Yes. So, yeah, we want to preface as well that the Ring of Democracy is not a political organization, but a nonprofit organization with the goal to engage, educate, organize, and mobilize Black, Brown, and historically marginalized communities to build power for themselves and their communities. So we'd like to give our community a chance for you to talk about your candidacy in another setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, Mr. Avina, can you please do us the honor, introduce yourself and tell people why you're running and kind of explain, what this means to you?
Okay. Well, my name is Jose Antonio Avina II. I am a community member just like everyone else here. I own a small gym in downtown Sacramento. I focus on training athletes for soccer players who are in the semi-pro, pro stage of their life. And I've mainly just been an active community member, just giving back because I love the city. I'm a sustainabilist as well. So I work in the sustainability sector for a long period of time. The gym that I created is harnessing the human power to produce clean energy. And, at the same time, we're creating happier lives because you're getting healthy while saving the planet at the same time. So I've always thought of different ways to think outside the box. And one of the situations that I see happening right now with the city is that we are constantly dealing with individuals who are focused on fixing situations from the past and not concentrating on the future and building a society or pushing us in the direction for future growth, right? And that's one of the problems that I saw with the individuals running for the office today. So I decided that it was enough. Threw my name in the hat, and I'm actually running for mayor of Sacramento. It's one of the biggest things that I never thought I'd ever do in my life, but here I am. And it's been a challenge throughout the entire process. And I think we might talk about some of those issues here today, is that it's not as easy as one would think. It is more about money than anything else. And it's not about the ideas or the policies that the individual brings to the table. So those are some of the things I try to bring awareness to during this campaign process. But more than anything, I care for my community. I am involved in my community, and I want to give back to my community. And so I'm here today, running for mayor of Sacramento.
Hey, well, thank you and welcome. Well, I'll start us off because then the first question that we had for you, we read that you went to Cal State in the Cal State University, right, in Sacramento. Can you tell us about your journey from going there to becoming a prominent figure in downtown Sac?
So it started actually at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Um, Sacramento State gave me an opportunity to play soccer, and is the reason I came out to play for Sac State. And I instantly fell in love with the community. I hadn't seen the soccer field yet, nor have I spoke to the coach or even tried out with the team. I fell in love with the community. There was a couple individuals from Sac State who took me out to the river. I got to experience the river and the community. And being someone from the big city, never seen a holiday, so being able to see the trees change colors, like it was something that you only read about or watch on TV. So I quickly fell in love with the community. But one of the things that attracted me most is the how active we are. And the city actually ranks pretty high in terms of its outdoor activities, but we just don't maximize those opportunities. A lot of the city bike paths and everything, they go, they're not maintained as regularly as one would hope, especially for having the infrastructure that we have. I wish that we would just do a little bit better about promoting healthy minds. I think that the city has the potential to really set itself apart if we just went one step further and just did things right the first time. And, so those are some of the things that first attracted me to the position here today. But going back to sustainability, it was a program through Sac State, the Carlson Center. And when setting up my business plan to open the gym, the first thing they said is you have to set yourself apart from every other gym that's been established. So I was quickly looking for different ways to think outside the box to attract individuals to the gym. And being that Sacramento is the state capital of the 5th largest economy, and California is the pioneer in sustainability around the world, I thought that no better place to open a gym that's focused on harnessing the human power than here in Sacramento. And so that's what got us our start here in downtown Sacramento. It was through the programs, through Sac State, and through the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I do have another question for you. Could you elaborate more on your role as a captain in the Marine Corps Reserve and how your military experience shapes your perspective on civic leadership in general?
So I am I wear multiple hats in the my unit, as most officers do because of the shortage of individuals we have. My primary task is I'm a small arms liaison team leader. So what that means is that I have 4 different teams of individuals who are capable of accomplishing any mission on the table, and we work directly with mainly the 1-star, the 2-star, who's in charge of the area of operation that we call it, and we assist them in being able to think strategically on how to tackle a situation. My job is to minimize American deaths and civilian deaths, but it is also my job and my task to find a way to have the enemy surrender without a fight, if that's a way to put it. We want to use our words before we use our weapons. The greatest weapon that we have is the mind. And that's one of the things that the Marine Corps tries to do a really good job of, is teaching us that before we start any kind of conflict, have we done everything to diffuse the situation with our words? And so when you have no other option, and before things get hasty, you send an individual like myself with a team to speak one-on-one with the local population and with the local leadership in figuring out ways, how can we be of service to you and assist you in achieving your goals while making sure that we maintain peace throughout the planet? Because one domino effect could have a global implication somewhere else that we had no idea about. So I deal with a lot of global issues. And as we go out there and we're constantly working with our allies and helping them establish the basics, a functioning government, requires that you have running water, food source, and education and medical health care. Those are the fundamentals to any democracy. So when we go there and we tell them about, these are the things that we can help you achieve and build, sometimes you get a little bit of backlash because they tell us like, well, in America, you're not doing that. You're preaching it, but you're not doing that. And now those are some of the situations that kind of made me realize, well, I'm investing so much of my time and energy overseas when back home we need this level of leadership or initiative within our own local government, because we're not having this right now. So I decided that bring the knowledge that the government has invested in me, and also working with the other countries as well, bring the knowledge that they've taught me and bringing it now home to Sacramento and trying to do something with that here. So I've had the pleasure to work alongside statesmen, congressmen, generals, and embassy representatives. So I've been around that world. I don't like that world, but if we can keep peace, and that's my goal, bottom line. And then I have various other jobs that I do within my unit, but they're not my main titles, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, with the leadership experience and skills that you just shared with us that you've learned from the Marine Corps reserves, and you were able to tell us about, how would you take all these experiences and tackle the issues that are happening in Sacramento right now?
Mhm.
Like which one issue would you tackle right now with all these experiences and skills that you have, and how would you go about it?
So that's a B. So we work with less money. So we have to accomplish the mission with less money, less time, less personnel. And so what we look at is, for instance, last night we had a great conversation about food, farm to fork, right? But there are many things that we could probably tackle with that. So my task, my job is to see, okay, you gave me one problem, and this organization over here gives me another problem. How can I collaterally bring those resources together to help achieve all these other things that you're trying to achieve with minimal resources as possible? And the one beauty that the military has taught me is patience, but the number one thing that it's taught me is to ask the questions. Many times when we arrive anywhere, the first question we ask is, how can I be of service to you? As a mayor, you don't have a lot of power. You don't have any power. Your job is simply to be a mediator and connect bridges. My job in the military is to connect bridges, build bridges. When relationships have gone sour, it is my call sign is handshake for a reason. My job is to go in there and reconnect with the people and reestablish a working relationship between the two governments. And at times, these governments are pointing weapons at each other, and don't want anything to do with one another. So if I can bring peace to one part of the world, right, with simple words, why can't I do that here in Sacramento? We have groups that are going against each other, and both want similar outcomes. We're just not talking about the bottom line is that we're all human beings, right? And we all have the same goals in life. It's now just simply explaining it to the other side who may not want to vote in your favor because they don't fully understand exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve with it, whatever policy you're trying to pass. Those are some of the things that, as a mediator, that's my job to go in there and explain. Like, you're asking for running water, and they're asking for water supplies for their food, right? So they can provide that to you. And those are two things that you want. It's not taking resources away from you. In fact, it's giving you what you want, the water and the food, but yet we just have to make sure that we, regulate how much water is being wasted, right? So it's not that we're taking it away from you. We just simply want to make sure that the water that's not being used is going to the right people afterwards, right? And so we both want the same thing in that argument. It's a matter of being able to come to the table and diffusing the situation, again, using your words and connecting the bridges. That is the only role the mayor plays in this situation. If it was a different role, if the mayor was a strong mayor, that'd be a whole different conversation. But we have a weak mayor position, and the mayor needs to understand that their role is to connect the groups together so that they can vote in the best interest of the American people, not the corporations.
Okay, so with what you just shared, what would be the number one issue do you think would, if elected as mayor, you would need to tackle right away?
Well, the number one issue to the people here that I'm hearing is the situation with the homeless population. We have lack of housing. It's not that there is housing not built, right? There are groups that have built the housing units. For some reason, the right individuals aren't getting into the right spaces. And even though we built housing or units, it's not enough, not remotely near enough. So one of the things I did propose are short-term rental solutions and bringing in a small vessel similar to what New York has done and what they did in Sweden and Stockholm with the refugees from Gaza during the war. So it's been done already. We just simply need to bring it into here locally and work with our our neighbors in West Sac to see if we have permission to be able to dock a ship that could do such a thing, right? That would provide over 1,600 beds for individuals. It's self-sustaining in its own, and those are solutions that aren't being talked about right now that I help bring to the table in terms of working with those agencies that do control the waterways and do control the shipyards, right? That's what I can bring to the table is that I do work with the government already, and I know the different tape that you have to go through in order to be able to pass through someone else's area of responsibility. But the biggest task that we have, and it's not just one, there's multiple things going on, is that we have a lack of food resources to feed the hungry. We have income instability throughout the entire city. We have inflation still affecting many families. So to say that we have one pressing issue, I'd be lying to you. We have multiple issues that are important to multiple people, and it's imperative that we tackle all those issues simultaneously. And sitting at the table and saying, okay, well, let's not focus all our time and resources in just one, right? That's what the government always does. Let's listen to what the people need. And while we're working towards this, what else can we help solve along the way to provide the people what they need, right? And that's just stability once again. Everyone's afraid to what's going to happen tomorrow. So although you're asking me to say that there's only one, I encourage you to reconsider that and understand that there are over, 500,000 people who have different views, different things that they need, right? And we need to address them all equally, right? And so that is a very demanding task, but I think that it is achievable, right? With the right people in place, I think it is achievable.
Thank you for sharing that. And the question wasn't mostly to kind of like only pick one, but identify one and kind of elaborate on it. So what you said is the homelessness and housing affordability crisis. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I really appreciate you elaborating on that too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the topic of affordable housing, how do you plan to collaborate with developers and local stakeholders to achieve your goal of constructing 10,000 affordable housing units?
I go toe to toe with developers on this one. Developers come in with the right mindset, but they'll quickly take our money and then they'll do what is in their best interest of the company, right? And that's to provide luxury apartments. So what I don't like is the fact that we, the people, give them the money to come in and start building these units, and then all of a sudden they'll convert them to luxury apartments because it has a bigger payout. So one of the things that we could do is put restrictions on how that money must be utilized. And if they fail to comply with that, or don't want to, even consider us for business because there's no room for profit, then we work with the smaller developers and see if we can work on building the project collectively over, instead of just having one company, but having 6 companies come in and build the project. It's not impossible. It's been done before. It's just a little it's more paperwork to go through, but that's where you have to start with. You have to draw the hard line in the sand and saying, like, we need affordable housing. We don't need more luxury apartments. But also challenging the developers to come in and say, hey, these are the things we need. We need affordable housing that is close within 1.5 miles of a grocery store. We need it within 1 mile of transit. We need livable spaces. And when I mean livable spaces, I mean that there are gardens. We're thinking about the CO2 emission. And we're also thinking about how we go about just delivering the local goods, right? One of the big problems that we have in the United States is, as Americans, we overstore. So because we overstore, we consume a lot more. So if these housing units can become a little bit more self-sufficient, that would reduce our carbon footprint, give us the housing that we're looking for, provide affordable housing because you don't have to travel as far and you don't have to pay for parking at various different locations for your work. And also, you have regional transit within walkable distance. That's how we build affordable housing, not just a unit that's affordable, but we got to look at where is the grocery store, how far away, where's the local transit, right? The nearest jobs for these individuals that we're trying to, target for these apartments, and what is the infrastructure looking like? Do they have parking available to them, or are we going to now have to charge them $250 a month for parking? Right? That's ridiculous as well. So when we talk about affordable housing, we're not just talking about one unit. We got to look at the big picture. What else can we do to chip away at that cost and make it more affordable to them? And those are the challenges. So challenging the developers to come in and say, these are the 5 things that we need. And I challenge you to come up with solutions and ideas and let the the citizens vote on what they want. And again, that's what I talk about, having the youth involved in this, because in 10 years that project will be built and that'll be for them to have. So involving the youth in this decision making is very important to me. Unfortunately, it takes 10 years to build something like that, unfortunately. But we need to work on the policies that prevent the faster development. So a lot of red tape. If we can get rid of the red tape, I think we can be more successful on this.
Thank you. Now, yes, at least you were very clear that it does take about 10 years. And I think, a lot of times people don't understand the red tape that comes with that. So thank you for sharing that. And also another issue you mentioned earlier when it comes to homelessness, affordable housing, were rising costs, and economic opportunities and stuff like that. But how do you plan to or what specific initiatives do you have in mind to foster workforce development?
Yes.
And prepare residents for future job demands?
Yes. So I love that question. No, and that's exactly what we need to be thinking about. These corporations have already stated what their goals are, right? You saw Tesla come out; they're going to Mars. Amazon already came out; they're going to Mars as well. So those are job opportunities that we can be capitalizing in. We should be looking at what are they looking at in terms of resources on those planets. 3D development was a huge market space that we kind of dropped the ball on. That's something that we could have capitalized on, and developing products for these agencies to purchase through Sacramento. That was a miss, but we can still get that back. In terms of tech, looking at AI development, a lot of the AI development right now is currently being either housed in San Francisco or in Arizona, and challenging those companies to come here and say, hey, look it, we are looking to be pioneers in these industries. If you're a tech company in these industries, we challenge you to come here to Sacramento and open your R&D shop and start to develop your ideas here locally. While you're developing your ideas, we'll be developing the workforce to help support you when it's time to grow, right? But we give them 3 years of free rental space to be able to come and dream and fail, and give them the support they need to continue to remain successful at the end, so that, because at the end of the day, we need them to create jobs. That's the only reason we're inviting them in. So if they can guarantee that they will stick around and work here with the local population to create jobs, then we can foster our own community of working force, but working simultaneously as well with the local community colleges, because they're the ones that are going to be helping to put on these courses so that we can educate the workforce to get them retrained. But there are many different avenues and industries that we can look at, but we as a community have to look at, like, what is it that we really want? If we're talking about what do you call it, food access and solving food insecurities, then let's invite the ag tech companies to come here and R&D with our community gardens and some of our vacant buildings. Like, allow them to create vertical farms and work on their projects, while we get to also take the benefit of all the produce that they've created here locally. And so there are different ways that we can go about this and to attract companies in to build businesses from within. One of the other things that we could do too is foster our own incubator. Now, the city can have its own incubator and challenge companies or startups to come in and pitch their best idea to us, and see if the city is something that they want to invest in, and help them develop their idea into reality. And then in that process, the city can also be making a small portion of the commission from that. And then there we can then also reduce some of the taxes that we're paying elsewhere. So forcing the city to start thinking of different ways to be competitive with the global market. We shouldn't be focusing on competing with West Sac or Yolo County or anyone else. Like, we should be focusing. We are the 5th largest economy in the world and the capital of that. We should be focusing and competing with larger municipalities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question we had is, can you elaborate on your vision for expanding early childhood education and how you intend to address accessibility and affordability challenges?
Yes, I'm a big believer in early development. The challenge is, where's the money going to come from? That's a phenomenal challenge. I will find a way to get that. But But my vision for early development is, we already know that if a child is given the opportunity to learn multiple languages at an early age, they're going to be more successful in business. If a child is given the opportunity to learn about STEM research, right, or this, science, mathematics, the architecture and arts, right, they're more inclined to pursue further education down the road. Those are some of the things that will help with early development of every child and allow them to become more successful in their development years. I believe also that we need to redesign our education system. The system that we had was designed to create a workforce that will comply with the manager's needs and demands of the company. And that's not the era that we live in anymore. We want to create, self-starters, thinkers, innovators, right? Creators. We want to give these individuals the tools necessary to be able to build a future in the world that they want, not the world that we want. By the time they become 18, 19, or 25, they will be focusing on their world. So give them the tools necessary to build a world that we've always dreamed of, right? A world that has the answers to most of the problems, and a world that you're allowed to dream without fear of failure because you have a community that's willing to support you and get you back up and try it again. But it's imperative that we provide these resources at a very young age, because after the age of 4, the mind is already developed to another point, right? So if the goal is to get everyone this resource, that means that we need to provide education centers within a walkable distance to every neighborhood. The challenge in that is that the infrastructure is not there for that. So then I challenge the smart tech companies to come in and provide a source where we can have busing units provide, transportation for these adolescents, so that we can bring them to a center that's locally established within those communities, and every child has access to this education, but not by community. We need to get rid of that community. We need to have all the communities come together and have one source of education, because that is creating its divide within itself. These communities were divided within each district, and each district is divided within each neighborhood. So we have to create a more harmonious community for everyone. In order for us to achieve that, we need everyone to come together and understand that this is just one team, one community, one goal, one vision for everyone. And that's just a more prosperous Sacramento for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Avina. Now, how do you intend to navigate the potential challenges and opposition that you may get from various stakeholders, community members, and community activists, and as a future mayor?
That is the golden question. I mean, the first part is that no plan is ever going to exist after first contact. You can go in there with the right mindset thinking you're going to say this, but the moment someone sticks a microphone in your face and says something, it's going to change, right? That's the truth. Maintaining your composure, going in with an open mind, and understanding that the only reason that these individuals or organizations are protesting is because they haven't been heard. So obviously your first point is to sit down and listen to what they have to say, and have both group leaders come together and come to a common ground, right? There's always a common ground to be found, but we need to find that. And at times when in the midst of all the chaos, no one is listening and everyone's getting louder and no one wants to move forward with progress. So in order for that to happen, you need to step right in the middle and put yourself in harm's way at times. Many times I've seen on TV where mayors are standing out to the sideline behind the cops. But all that does is aggravate the two different groups who are already upset at you in the first place for not doing your job. So if you want to create peace, you have to be willing to step in between the two groups and be the first person to extend a hand and say, I'm sorry for not listening. I'm here now. Let's work towards this and let's figure out a solution for both parties so that everyone is safe and that the community continues to work and stay functional. In terms of the bigger entities, in terms of capitalist interests or developer interests, like they can yell at me all they want. They can bang on the doors, send me emails. It doesn't matter. I will do what's in the best interest of the people in the community. I put the people before profit. So there's been a couple times where organizations have reached out and asking for to endorse and to financially contribute, but they don't have the people's interests. If they did, they wouldn't be having a need to lobby so hard to get people to vote in their favor. So I'll put the people's interests first, always, and I will put myself last in the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. And we did have a community question from our Instagram poll. What community work have you done aside from the annual Toys for Tots?
I mean, sustainability, youth development. There's different things. I would say the one that I was most proud of that almost got developed, it was right before COVID. I was trying to create a community park that incorporated, I'm really big into soccer, so I wanted to put soccer fields that harness the kinetic energy to power the lights. But I wanted to take it one step further too. I also wanted to build a kids rec area where every time they're either on the teeter totter or on the windmill spinning it, or they're sliding down the rollers, all of that's kinetic energy. I wanted to harness human energy to produce a park that was self-sustaining, or to the point where it was at least producing enough electricity to power some of the lights, and then also engage the individuals in a sustainable manner, meaning like becoming intrigued about what sustainability truly means and how we can harness the human energy and to get creative about it. So it's more of an educational portion, sustainability side. But unfortunately, during COVID, we lost the funding to the park or to the lot that we had. And then a developer came in, they got the rights to the land, and we got bumped. And that honestly, I mean, I was so disheartened. Like I lost all motivation after that. I should have continued, but then I realized how difficult it was to do anything in the city, even if you're trying to do something good. And I promised myself I'd pick it back up and try again, and I will. I will bring that back. But I'm going to give this run, an honest run, and then after that, I will get back into that. In terms of the soccer, I mean, I give back to the community in terms of I host in partnership with Cal Storm. We host clinics all the time for youth development in underserved communities. Working with street soccer and Cal Storm, we've put on various different clinics throughout the city, and we provided free cleats, free soccer, soccer balls, and free training. They come on out and then just fall in love with the game. So those are some of the projects I've worked on.
Thank you for sharing.
Right, so it's almost time to close, but Mr. Avina, one thing that we like to do is ask the candidate to, tell the community members a little bit about why a vote for you is important, or just elaborate. You have the floor for 1 to 2 minutes, so please feel free.
Okay, so thank you for this opportunity. I will encourage you to vote for the candidate that you believe is best for you and your interests, and that you believe is going to push the city in the direction that you envision. But with that being said, I encourage you to run for local office. We need more individuals to step up and take charge of their city. We have too many politicians running for the same offices over and over again. Too many times individuals will set themselves up and going to these policy boards so that they can beef up their resume so that they can run for these offices. What we need is individuals who were community engagers long before they even thought about becoming a politician. They do it from the heart. And I encourage our community to consider the option of running for either A, the open vacancy on District 2 right now, or B, if down the road, either for one of the city council member positions or for the mayor position. We need more individuals to get activated. If you vote for me, it's because you believe in the things that I will bring to the city, but more importantly, you believe that I will help you build a future that we can all be proud of. But I encourage you to step up and take my place. That's what we need. More individuals to step up, and we need people to step away when the time is right. Term limits is what I'm asking for. That's it. Thank you.